Hi, everybody. I'm Dave.
And I'm John.
And this is Coffee and Capes, our podcast about two of our favorite things, drinking coffee and talking a whole lot about geek culture.
Yes, today's an exciting one. It was an exciting week in geek culture, but
it truly was.
Let's go through all the things first, I guess.
Yes. Thank you for finding us in whatever manner you did. Here are all the options.
So, guys, if you're watching us again, you probably found us on YouTube.
Hi.
Hey. Obviously, if you're listening to us, you probably found us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you consume your podcasty podcasts.
Yeah, podcasty goodness.
Podcasty goodness. You may find us on social. We're at Instagram at coffee_N_the word capes. Twitter, the same thing. Facebook, it's Coffee and Capes, no underscores. We have a TikTok channel that I think we've managed to successfully post to once.
Yay us, or actually, yay you, because I had nothing to do with
it. And we have our website, coffee, the letter N, the word capes.com. Or if that's too difficult to remember, you can just go to your little URL webby thing and type in comics.coffee. And you'll find us there as well. And there,
as weird as that sounds, it really works. It's so much fun.
Yeah, test it out. It's just cool. It's just fun to do. So you'll find us like in all those places, and you can always email us, drop us a line at supers@coffeeandcapes.com. And when you're listening to us, give us a review, like a little 5-star review. We're gonna start. If you leave us a review, we're gonna start reading reviews on the podcast as well during fan fiction. Yeah, so we'll do that, and I think that's all the places.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Let's talk about coffee.
Excellent. Let's talk about coffee. I thought it was appropriate based on what we're going to be talking about today to talk about Respawn. Yeah. Respawn is a fair trade medium roast single origin with notes of brown sugar, cashew milk, chocolate, and orange. And it says no matter how many lives you've used up, Respawn brings you back better than before. This is Rachel's favorite. She says she can drink that one basically all day long.
Okay.
It is really good. It's a nice, smooth, really smooth, flavorful coffee.
Right. Just to note that, like, when we read the flavored notes, just a reminder, it's not a flavored coffee. Those are just the like underlying hints of things that you get, hints of flavor you get. It's not a flavored coffee.
No, but we are going to have a couple more flavored coffees. We do have pumpkin spice and Harlene's roast if you like flavored coffees.
Harlene's Delight.
Harlene's Delight. Yeah. It's early. I have not had all of my coffee yet.
Well, let's have some.
So, yeah, let's have some. So anyway, we do have some flavored coffees on the website. So go check it out. Yeah. Grab a coffee.
Or two.
Yeah.
Or 3 and get that free shipping.
Do the thing. Yeah. Get free shipping. Free shipping is always good.
Free shipping's the best.
Yes.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoy some coffee. Let us know what you're drinking in the morning when you're listening to your podcasts or creating them or doing the things whatever other things that you do, non-podcasty things that you do in the morning.
True. Non-podcasty things. Like people do other things.
Apparently.
Yeah. I don't know, like go to work.
Ew. Yeah, just kidding. I love my work.
Necessary evil, right?
Yes.
I enjoy mine as well.
Yeah.
I enjoy mine as well. And contrary to what some people might think, this is not our day job.
It is. It is not. It is not. It is not our day job.
No. Oh, quick shout outs. All right. Shout out to Ladybird Provisions. You can start ordering their delicious coffee bombs to be delivered next month. So tomorrow,
LG.
I believe. Super excited because I almost ran through my stock that I put together to get through the summer months. It's a really nice, delicious add-on, whether you drink your coffee black, whether you are a sinner like me and put a little flavored creamer in there. Doesn't matter. Everybody enjoys them that tries them.
Yep.
So
including
give it a shot.
Me, and I never, ever put anything in my coffee. And I really enjoy their coffee bombs. Like it's the only thing I've ever added to my coffee and truly liked it.
Yeah. and they're lovely people. Like they're
Yes.
they're just really nice people. So check them out. And also, guys, don't forget Genre Geeks will be, so we're going to be on their podcast once She-Hulk ends. Once this season of She-Hulk is over, we'll be doing a joint review with them. That's going to be a lot of fun. But they're also going to be at Dallas Fan Fest, handing out cards that have a little QR code on them. So when you scan the QR code, we're going to have some special stuff up for the folks from Dallas Fan Fest on our website, just for them. So find the Genre Geeks guys. If they hand you a postcard, it is not like the Hare Krishna people in the airport back in the 1970s. If you're not old enough, maybe it was the 80s. I don't know. If you're not old enough to understand that reference, it's cool. It's all right. You don't have to be. Look it up. That's what the internet's for. Googleize it.
Right. And sometime in the coming weeks, we're gonna be on the Batman Universe podcast. We don't know exactly when yet.
We are? Weren't we just on that one?
Well, I mean, we recorded it, but we don't know when they're gonna.
Oh yeah.
When they're gonna release.
I was like, are we back on there?
No.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that episode will get released. We'll let you guys know when.
Yeah. All the fun times with all the podcasts, all the nerdy, geeky, funny podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any fan fiction today,
John? We do. Very spirited debate took place after the Miss Marvel episode was released with Assistant Honcho.
Yeah.
Assistant Honcho is my friend Adam. Hey, Adam. And
hi, Adam.
Adam really called me out for some of my rather very like kind of that nerdy like meh about certain things within the show. And I appreciate, it's cool. Like, guys, you can disagree with stuff. You don't have to agree with everything somebody says and still appreciate like where they're coming from, right?
Absolutely.
Adam felt that I was very wrong in kind of some of my opinions and thoughts around the show and that I was uninformed. Agree to disagree, right?
Yeah.
I do believe there is, I still am going to hold to, I think and I said this in the conversation on Instagram, they didn't have to explain her origin, whether she was a mutant or inhuman within the first 6 episodes of this, right? It could have been something they could have left behind and built out a little bit more. The Inhumans have had a couple failed attempts to really come to screen. I mean, they did it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of. I don't really know how well they did it because I haven't really watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Inhumans TV show. Womp womp.
Yeah, definitely sad trombone on that one. I did watch S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I know that it was part of it. I don't remember exactly. I know there was
and that may be what Adam's pointing to, right? Is that they did it and it just was a struggle for people to remember. And I don't know that that's necessarily a
reason not to do it,
right? That you shouldn't do it. It's just nobody's figured out the right way to do it. So I did, interestingly enough, I was reading an article this morning that talked about the failed Inhumans TV show. And when they rolled Marvel Television underneath like Marvel Entertainment, because it used to be Marvel Film and Marvel Television, they were separate. And when they rolled that in and gave kind of took Disney as their boss and not the other individual, and I can't remember his name right now, he wanted to hold on to the Inhumans property in terms of being on screen. So that could very well have something to do with the reason that they're pushing Miss Marvel as a mutant, and which puts that into the old school Spider-Man not being part of the MCU and the mutants and X-Men not being part of the MCU and having to kind of work around all of those things. There's probably something there. Now, granted, they brought Black Bolt into Spider-Man, but
no, into Doctor
who knows?
Strange.
Oh, Doctor Strange. Yeah, thank you, Doctor Strange. I still really have not had enough coffee, but so it could
Only
very
we
well
had a
be
way to
one of
remedy
those.
that.
I know. It could be one of those situations, right,
Sure.
where there's some conflict behind the scenes. Adam was pretty adamant. Did you like that one?
I did. Appreciate that.
That they really couldn't have done her powers justice without making them look maybe a little too odd on screen. And that the creator even agreed with the direction that not doing that. I don't know about that. With all the amazing things that they've been able to do with CGI, it may have been, and I'm willing to concede this, that it may have been that budget wise, really doing that justice doesn't make sense for the budget that's set for that show. So they had to get a little bit more creative. And if that's what happened, okay, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right?
And I have read, I don't have details here, but I have read an article or two about how the companies that do CGI, like they hire, for lack of a better word, a group that's going to do that CGI, and that those groups have been hurt by pandemic, like everybody else, that they don't have all the same levels of staffing that they used to have, like the timing, that it's, in some ways it becomes perhaps you're not asking quite so much of that group, and so you keep it like that. He might have a fair point about it's easier to make it look crystal like her powers than it would to make it look like her full arm or whatever.
Yeah, and I agree. Like that's that could be very much so what happened here, and if that's the case, right? I think for me, if that's the case, then I'd rather see the character on screen, because she's such an amazing character with the changes, than not see her on screen and have her held back because they couldn't afford to or couldn't figure out how to get it done with the CGI folks they had in play. Because Miss Marvel's, she, like we've talked about, she's just such a fantastic character, right? Absolutely fantastic character. So anyway, that was great. That was our fan fiction.
I appreciated that exchange. I'll admit I bristled just a hair at the ill-informed comment. Like, you can disagree with it. I'm not sure we're ill-informed. I'm not ready to concede that part. We might have different ideas.
That at all.
Yeah.
but the rest of it, I'm still not saying that I'm okay with it.
Saying, no, I understand.
I understand and can appreciate it, right? And I think that's a difference, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think that's how disagreements should be done.
Yeah,
like I don't have to, like, you can make your counterpoint.
Yeah,
and I can appreciate your counterpoint, and I can look at the pieces in it and say, okay, maybe you're right here.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, you still
feel and still reacted the way you reacted.
I still feel and still reacted the way that I reacted, right? But also, she's a phenomenal character. Again, the actor who played her, so great. So great. Her energy and enthusiasm is
nailed it.
Everybody that was in that.
Yeah.
Except the villains. I thought the villains were
we talked about that last time.
We talked about that last time. All right. So that's our fan fiction. Adam, thanks so much.
Thanks for engaging.
Appreciate you. Really appreciate bringing up things that we can take a look at.
So you said something a few minutes ago that, what if they just decided they weren't going to include how she got her powers, weren't going to include the entire origin story in those first 6 episodes? And that makes me think of something that can maybe help us transition here, that we're going to talk about one of the biggest geek moments of the week, the announcement that Ryan Reynolds posted.
It's a huge.
It is a huge announcement. Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely humongous.
Now I know what my kids feel like with all the dad jokes and the bad. It's good. That's well played, sir.
Thank you.
So as you can tell, like we're going to talk about the big announcement that Hugh Jackman is coming back to play Wolverine in Deadpool 3, which is coming out in 2 years from now.
Yeah, it literally 2 years from now, September of 2024.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing, like that idea that you wouldn't have to tell the entire story right away, the entire origin story right away, makes me think of Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you remember back
in the
origins,
or are we talking
well,
about
yeah, that for a long time,
right?
At least as I remember it, and perhaps I'm ill-informed here, but I don't think I am. That for a long time we didn't know. Like the character of Wolverine didn't know, like they had messed with his mind, and he didn't know his whole story, and we as the audience didn't know. And so it was a humongous deal when they finally released Origins and said, here's how it all went down. That he became like this mutant with the regenerative powers. And they really thought out like from the very beginning that I recall, it wasn't, oh, here's a character that has regenerative powers and that means he like lives forever. Like that wasn't immediately known. That was the thing that seemed like they kind of figured out, like, wow, here's an implication of the power set we've given him. And for a long time, like it was probably from my world at least, it was the biggest mystery in geekdom. Like, what's Wolverine's actual origin story? And they played on that for a long, long time.
Well, and they did that in the comics, right?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
That all started in the comics. And so, he had amnesia. He couldn't remember. Like there were blocks in his mental. He had all these issues, and that lasted for
years.
Ever in the comics, like forever. They didn't rush to try and like explain it. They didn't do any of that, and we and then that transitioned through into the film, right? Into X-Men. We didn't in X-Men, the first X-Men movie, you go back and watch it, they didn't like explain his origin. They didn't tell you where he was from. Hell, they didn't explain Cyclops' origin. They did,
right. Yeah, true.
Right. Yeah. All those guys, like honestly, they didn't. They went into Jean Grey when they attempted to bring the Dark Phoenix thing to the screen, right? But everybody else just had very little touches on their past. Bobby Drake had his, right? And they didn't feel
Rogues,
it was
probably more than anybody in those early films. We got Rogues.
Yeah. Rogue was kind of that central around that, but the rest of them, they didn't seem to find it necessary to do that. Right. And I appreciate that.
I think there's a time for that in the storytelling.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, we've gotten so used to like origin stories explaining things, right? Because it was such a huge hit with like Batman and Superman in the early days. Go back to Christopher Reeve, go to Michael Keaton,
sure,
and we got rehashes of the origin stories and all those different things. And I guess X-Men is
Spider-Man. We've seen 100 different versions of the Spider-Man,
right? We've seen 100 different versions of that. The first X-Men movie wasn't even an origin story of the X-Men, because Wolverine's coming into the X-Men.
They already exist.
Yeah, they already exist, right?
Yeah.
So it was, and it's nice sometimes to not have to explain ad nauseum where somebody's coming from, like just kind of jumping in and being like, okay, this person has powers, right? Like they got powers, they can do things. You're like, I can accept that. I can, because it's the movies.
We're suspending disbelief. but oh, how dare you not tell me where he gets these powers? Yeah,
like that's totally, I love hearing the people who are like, it's totally unrealistic, you'd never be able to fly like that, gravity is too heavy and that's just not real. Which is why we go to the movies to see unreal
alien
things.
From another galaxy is here, powered by the that part's okay, but
right, but it's just not realistic in the way that it's being portrayed on the screen. Okay, gang.
It's not realistic.
It's not,
none of it is
realistic. And it's never going to that's what makes it a great time, right? Now we get a lot of origin stories, I mean, you got the Doctor Strange origin story, Captain
Mhm.
America, and we got Thor, and we got, you know, all these people. We saw their origins, and that was great. It set up this amazing, you know, universe. But I think sometimes we don't need it.
Yeah,
Not right away. Not if
right.
you're going to do multiple shows.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the fun thing about the character of Wolverine, is that there was that mystery forever.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. That like
Yeah.
that mystery about who he was and where he came from and what his true story was, I think really enhanced him his appeal.
Mhm.
And part of the why people were interested in that character so much.
Yes, I agree. Now before we dive too far into this, let's just talk about how amazing Ryan Reynolds is.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I have watched that video probably 15 times now because Ryan Reynolds is hilarious.
He truly, truly is.
Um,
he might be top 5 underrated actors.
I think so. And I think he's going to remain that way because he does this same kind of like shtick in a lot of
I guess
stuff.
that is a problem. He's kind of played this same character now in the last several things he's done that I've seen anyway.
But he's also done some like amazing other work. But that's, you know, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We're focused in on truly the apex of his career, which is Deadpool.
Yeah.
And
the character he was born to play, as we've said in previous episodes.
Oh yeah. Like so much so.
Who's Got the Look, I think, is the name of an early episode we did about actors that truly embody their characters.
Yep. And man, I'll tell you what, the bright spot in Wolverine Origins, like the brightest spot of that whole movie, was early on in the movie with Wade Wilson. And you know, Ryan Reynolds is Wade Wilson, like,
yeah,
you know, coming out of the elevator swinging his swords, like, okay, everybody's dead now. You know, just like constantly cracking jokes and strikers and Wade, you're the perfect soldier if I just keep that mouth of yours shut, right? We see that little interaction with him and everybody else. Then they did horrible things.
Yes, they did.
Unforgivable things.
Right. Things that make us want to pretend that movie doesn't exist.
Yeah. And then, you know, thank you, Ryan Reynolds, for redeeming that at the end of Deadpool 2.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Absolutely fantastic and brilliant. But I mean, when Rob Liefeld and company were trying to get Deadpool greenlit, and they released that little like clip on YouTube that was essentially CGI created, that Ryan Reynolds voiced, and we watched it all, people went nuts. Like, that's the whole reason Deadpool got greenlit, was because of that video, because the response to it was so huge. Everybody went nuts.
The response was huge.
Yes. And when they finally made the movie, it was everything you could possibly want.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Deadpool, the first Deadpool movie, is just it's perfection for what it's trying to do. It's so
absolutely
good.
It's one of those few movies like you go back and see in the theater, you know, when it's out, you're just like, I'll go see it again. You haven't seen it yet? Yeah, I'll go see it again. You haven't seen it yet? I'll go see it again.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. I'll go see it again. You know, just excuse after excuse after excuse to go see it. And it was just hilarious every time. And he immediately starts in on Hugh Jackman. Like, just immediately, right? Trying to like get the attention and everything else. And it really kind of, after that, launched a lot of what we saw in social media between the two of them, going back and forth.
Yeah, those guys are great on social media.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're so funny together.
Right.
You know, have you ever seen the video they made where they've made commercials for each other's company.
Yes.
And Ryan Reynolds has this like beautiful commercial,
like, super
Hugh
like
Jackman's
serious,
like,
heartfelt,
you know,
and
right.
yeah,
He's like, that was amazing. He's like, yeah, it cost $1 million. He's like,
right.
really? And then Hughes is like, Ryan Reynolds is a piece of
right, yeah,
right. Gin's pretty great though. I have to try it someday, and then knocks the bottle over.
right.
It's that, you
He's
just
like, I thought we were still doing the joking thing. I thought we were still doing the
right. I thought we were
making
still
fun of each
doing the
other
joking thing.
Yeah,
Man. And I, then they did Logan. And Ryan Reynolds brought that up in Deadpool 2. They poked at it. He's like, well, I can die too. And I don't think, at least from my end, I don't think I thought we would ever see this happen.
Oh gosh, I was not expecting that at all. Well, in
No.
part because we made such a big deal a few years ago when Logan came out that Hugh Jackman was done being Wolverine.
It was the end.
Yeah, and it was in a lot of ways a perfect ending.
Mm-hmm.
That movie,
yeah,
was so good.
It was a beautiful swan song.
Yeah,
right? For the character. I do like that they did a second video too of Hugh and Ryan sitting together and saying, we're going to answer all your questions. And really, they addressed the main one, which is in Logan, the year is 2029 and he dies. Like, no ifs, no ands, no buts. They're not touching that. They're not changing that, which I thought was great. Right.
I missed this. So those guys did a second video.
Oh yeah, you got to go back.
So I truly am ill-informed on that one.
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's so good. So, I like that they're not going to go after, try and do something with, oh well, Logan, whatever.
He came back again.
Right.
Yeah.
Now what I'm curious to see is, what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to do this? Because clearly, right, in the Deadpool movies, he is very much aware of Wolverine. He's very much aware of Logan. We've never seen Wolverine in any of the movies other than, well, yeah, never mind. In Wolverine Origins, right? They know about each other.
Yeah,
now, whether
right.
But,
does that count? Is that canon?
Right.
Now,
does that count?
Yeah.
That's kind of, yeah. I think I'm not counting that because they did something weird at the end. Right.
Yeah.
But for all my complaining about like retconning last episode,
yeah,
I'm interested because there's gonna have to be some kind of retcon that happens in this. And I'm just, I don't even care.
I'm just so excited to have these two on screen together. And
yes,
they're just, as you're saying, they're so good together. And even just the announcement video where he was just like so nonchalant and just walking through like,
hey, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time? Yeah, sure, Ryan.
Okay, sure, Ryan.
As he's walking upstairs, like eating an apple.
Yeah, right.
And then Ryan Reynolds, just a little eyebrow raise.
Yeah.
And I think, and I lost my mind clearly. If you saw our repost of that on our Instagram page, I was losing my mind at that moment.
Yeah.
And if you read the comments on that video from Ryan Reynolds' original post, there's a lot of people like, it's just a joke. It's just
right. Yeah.
So then it just was followed by tons of announcements that, yes, this is happening. Like, Hugh Jackman is going to play Wolverine in Deadpool 3. And
that's so amazing.
Because,
and that was my initial reaction too. Like, I put it on Instagram too. Like, if this is a joke, if they tease this and then don't make this happen, like, all of us old fart geeks are gonna just go ape shit and be like,
yeah, we're gonna rent a bus and go to people's homes.
Yeah, there would be pitchforks and torches and
yes, very much so,
all the terrible things. Because you cannot tell us you're going to give us this movie and then not do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, just kidding. Like, so it's insanely cool that they're actually doing this.
Now the wish list comes down, right? Because now we're like, hold on. So I get Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, my question is, do I finally get a Wolverine in costume? Like with the full headdress and everything? Will they go that far? Because we've never seen that.
True.
It's never happened.
They made a good joke of it in the first X-Men. And he's like complaining about the leather. He's like, well, what would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Right. Yeah. But I think they've come a long way with costume design.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. I think if you had to do it back then, X-Men, everybody's wearing spandex.
Yeah.
Right. And it's weird, but they've come a long way with costume design. And I do think Wolverine's costume you could successfully create now.
Well, the other thing is which one? I mean, he's got the classic yellow and blue that you're showing on the screen there.
Right.
There's
what you see here.
Kind of yellow and brown one that he wears sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
There's I really like the black and gray one that he wears when he's doing X-Force work.
When he's doing X-Force, yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
And so that also brings to, the X-Force thing. How are they going to be interacting?
Yeah.
Right. Because they did X-Force kind of as a joke, right? In Deadpool 2. Because remember everybody dies except for Domino and Deadpool and Peter. Right. So they made kind of a joke out of it.
Yeah.
But there is a long, well, it's not a long run, but there's a solid run of X-Force that has Wolverine, Deadpool, Domino, Warpath, I believe is in there.
Yeah.
Right. Like a solid, like almost like a hit squad for the X-Men.
Right. I would be super in favor of them bringing Domino back. I thought Zazie Beetz was insanely good in that role.
Yeah. Right. I think that's super important. Are they going to bring Josh Brolin back as Cable? Right. We're going to get Colossus. How is Wolverine going to show up?
Yeah. Like, will Deadpool go to the X Mansion expecting to get the teenage Naga Mega Bomb
Negasonic Warhead.
Yeah.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
There you go.
Yeah.
And instead it's Wolverine there.
Maybe. I mean, he was messing with timelines pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
He was messing with timelines pretty hard. And it could be, he just butchers timelines and all of a sudden there's Wolverine. But maybe a different version. The X-Force thing, I don't know that they would do because of how dark and serious it is in the comics.
Yeah, and Deadpool's clearly more. The movies have clearly been more on the jokey, violent side.
Yes. Now, it doesn't mean they couldn't do it. I mean, if you go back and you read those, right? Deadpool's still Deadpool. Everybody's doing
in the midst of it.
Right. He's still kind of the comic relief throughout all of it.
Yeah. So do you think Deadpool would be is Deadpool going to be the only one breaking the fourth wall, or will Wolverine join him in that? I kind of think not.
I don't think so. That would be out of character.
Yeah.
Like heavily out of character. I could see Wolverine looking at him like, who are you talking to?
Yeah. Kind of like that moment in the first episode of She-Hulk where She-Hulk like turns to the camera and says something and Hulk gives her that look, that exact look you're talking about. Like, what are you doing?
Yes. Now, and so this also brings up some interesting stuff because Deadpool is now part of the MCU. Right? This is the first MCU Deadpool movie.
Are they going to let it still be R?
Are they going to let it still be R? I believe that there was like within that kind of negotiation, if I read right, like they're not messing with it. They're just going to let it. They're going to let it stay the way that it is. Now, here's an interesting one. John Krasinski's response to that first video said, "Wait, is this our movie?"
What?
Right. And that sent an entire like new wave of like, wait a second, what's happening? Are we gonna get Krasinski? Which could very well be a joke. Krasinski's hilarious. Yeah. And and he and Reynolds are also good friends. Like they're all friends. So but the question then becomes, if Krasinski's in the movie as Reed Richards and we've gotten all these multiverse things, right?
Yeah.
Are we looking at potentially Deadpool kills the Marvel universe?
Oh, interesting.
Right? Because we don't know how much interaction like Wolverine and Deadpool have. I think
they've got to have a bunch, right?
Right. From the sound of it, it sounds like they're gonna be very active.
You can't bring those two guys in and then not have them be the main characters.
Right. But it really could be one of those. I mean, that's a pretty epic run in the Deadpool world of comics. Is Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Right. He goes through with like finally just kind of snaps, realizes that, you know, nobody's real. They're all just characters. And he just starts slaughtering everybody. Right. And everybody has to try and stop him, which they can't do because he's
effectively immortal.
Right. Effectively immortal. I don't know that they would go that far. That would be a tough one to do. That would be a tough one to get, no matter how much Disney's like, yeah, we're not going to touch it. That would be a big ask.
I mean, that's kind of what we got a little bit in Doctor Strange, right? When Scarlet Witch goes off and just flat out murders all of those versions of those characters. It would be like that over and over and over again.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
So I haven't read like super tons of Deadpool. Is there a run, or do we have source material for Deadpool and or Wolverine hanging out with Reed Richards? Because that doesn't seem like a thing that would happen that much.
There is source material for it. More of a Wolverine with Reed Richards than Deadpool with Reed Richards, because Deadpool is always considered to be kind of a wild card.
Yeah.
That, you know, everybody tolerates.
Yeah.
But there's a stretch where Wolverine and Reed Richards have a considerable amount of interaction, and I can't remember, it's because they're both like Avengers. I'd have to go back and dig through and
I remember Wolverine being a Avenger. I don't remember Reed Richards being one. I believe you. I'm just I
don't know. I could be remembering it incorrectly, and if somebody's listening to this and they're like, dude, you're way off base.
You're so ill informed.
Okay, let it go, Dave.
No, I don't have to.
Let it go.
I'm proving myself to be ill informed on this one. It's okay.
Yeah, and it's all right. So I don't know. I know that there is source material for Reed and Wolverine interacting. How much, I don't know. Yeah. Right. And so the John Krasinski thing is why I said Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Because that seems like a problem Reed Richards would be involved in trying to solve.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Here's another thing, especially with the Deadpool movies, we've seen that actors play multiple characters. So could Krasinski come in and be somebody else?
No. I'm already bitter they're not going to cast him in the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
But I'm just a big John Krasinski fan.
Sure. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, Josh Brolin comes in having played Thanos, and all of a sudden he's Cable. So
that's a good point. That is a good point. I don't know who else he would.
Sure. Yeah. I don't either, but
he would play, but maybe you're right. Maybe he's not playing Reed Richards. Maybe, somebody else out there that has a theory on this should drop a note into comments.
What if he was playing the Maker? He was playing some sort of ultimate version of Reed Richards.
That'd be good.
As the big bad.
That would be kind of cool. Right. And that does bring up the question. Is it going to be Wolverine and Deadpool teaming up to take out a big bad?
Yeah.
Or is it Wolverine going up against Deadpool over and over and over again throughout like a series of mishaps and run-ins while a big bad is like manipulating the situation?
Yeah.
Is it Deadpool just fanboying out and following Wolverine around?
That
Which,
would be funny.
if it's me, that's what I want.
That's funny. There's got to be, there's going to be at least one scene where the two of them fight each other.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's got to be.
Absolutely, that's going to happen. But that just based on the way Ryan Reynolds has played the character and the way that they've written him, there's just going to be those moments where he's just like, I love you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
No. I'd love to know what convinced, and this is what makes me probably the most excited about Deadpool 3, is that had to get pitched to Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And it had to be so good and so interesting that he's willing to come back and play the character that he essentially like has said repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. I'm done, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. I'm not going to play him again.
Right. Just the perfect storm of situation where it's his really good friend. You have to assume there's some sort of good script, or at least the beginnings of one. I mean, it's 2 years away. The beginnings of a good script, or at least the idea behind it. You got to think he's not coming back for a show that's only as good as Wolverine Origins again.
Yeah.
I hope so anyway.
Yeah. That movie just makes me sad.
Yeah.
So that is it's really, there's so many things there. So much to possibly unpack. So many different avenues this thing could go down.
And that's part of the fun right now. Is just speculating on it. Like this, in some ways, this is the best moment for this whole movie until it comes out, because it's all possibility. It all exists as possibility right now, as opposed to realized, and once the thing is realized, well, then somebody's going to be disappointed or somebody's going to not like something. But right now, it's pure possibility, and that makes it
all hope.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
It's all hope. Like,
and good stories are built on hope.
That's right. Good stories are built on hope. So yeah, I mean, you're right. This is the moment of just pure anticipation.
Yeah.
And just that, like, anything is possible.
It's all potential energy right now.
Right. Nothing is off the table. It's, and with such a great history in the comics and such amazing chemistry between these two actors.
Yes.
I think it ratchets up. This is one of those dangerous ones, though.
Because this is just what we were talking about last time with the expectations. That expectations for this are going to be through the friggin' roof.
Yeah. If there is any Deadpool movie that is going to be set up to disappoint and fail, this will be it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Above and beyond number one, right? The first one, which everybody was excited about, but we weren't sure what we were going to get, and then everybody was losing their minds. 2, which everybody had some expectation for, right? We all wanted it to be better than 1. I don't think it was better than 1.
No, I agree. It was not.
But it was still super entertaining. I still will rewatch it.
Yeah.
This one is going to be ranked up there with like Endgame. And
that's a tall order.
In terms of anticipation, like it's gonna have, for me, and I can only speak for myself, right? I'm not speaking for everybody else, but I think for me, it's gonna have that level of anticipation that's just gonna ratchet up more and more and more and more. Because again, just the long history of watching Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman interact in real life through like social media, even though social media is not really real life, but through social media, the characters in the movies and how they've both kind of become iconically tied to those. you can't help it. There's no way to be like, I'm gonna stay calm.
Right. I'm gonna be objective. I'm gonna go into this without any expectations. No,
fuck no, I'm not gonna be objective.
No
This
chance.
could potentially be the best comic book movie of like all time.
Which right, I don't disagree, but just think about what we're saying. Just think about how we're setting ourselves up to be disappointed.
Oh, 100%, right? And I recognize that. But this is one of those rare occasions.
But that's why it's so fun.
Well, and it's like when the first Avengers movie came out. We had watched Thor, we had watched Iron Man a couple times, we had watched Captain America.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh my God, we're
and
getting
Hulk.
all right, and Hulk, and we're getting all of them on screen together as the Avengers. People were like, the lines were forever at the movie theater. People were losing their minds. Like, I remember talking to people in line to watch that movie, and everybody's like, I don't know what to expect. I'm just so excited.
Yeah.
Right. And it didn't disappoint. Captain America's suit disappointed a little bit, but
at least they made fun of it.
Yeah. Well,
not the one walking around with a
and I love
suit.
that they did that. Right.
Yeah,
that was great.
Right.
But this is I put this on par with that because people have wanted this for so long.
Yeah.
Right. So long. So I think it's definitely a dangerous and exciting.
It's a dangerous game.
It's a dangerous game, and it's also very, very exciting. So
yes, it is.
I can't notice. Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
you can't wait. Yeah, I mean, it's 2 years, so you're gonna have to wait.
No.
I keep noticing the Wolverine, the drawn Wolverine you have on your screen. Look at that shoulder, and then look at Hugh Jackman's shoulder. Like, it is like perfectly embodying that picture. Like,
yes,
Hugh Jackman's in his physicality in this role. I know obviously he's like a foot too tall to play this character, but who cares? Like, here's one of those times where it doesn't bother me at all.
Like, it bothered me in the first movie, but then after that, I was like, "Oh, this is the perfect guy for Wolverine." So good.
He's so good. He has found a way to create that physicality that's just so impressive.
Before we
shout out to his trainers.
Yeah, right. Before we move on, there was another potentially significant announcement around an MCU character. So if everybody remembers, General Thunderbolt Ross in the movies was portrayed by
oh gosh, yeah,
William Hurt.
William Hurt, yes.
William Hurt. I don't know why I drew a blank for a second, but was portrayed by William Hurt, who passed away. Right. So with Thunderbolts coming around, there's a big question around, because he's a significant part of that. The leaked rumor that hit the streets yesterday, I believe, is that Harrison Ford is potentially taking over the role of General Thunderbolt Ross.
Goodness, I did not hear that one. Wow.
Yeah.
Big if true.
Yeah, right. Huge if true. It's an interesting one. If true. What's that?
Hugh, if true.
Hugh, if true. Yes.
Keeping with the theme of the day.
Yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. I think, I'm a huge Harrison Ford fan.
Sure. I don't know if he's right for it though.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I've seen him play a grumpy guy before, and Thunderbolt Ross is pretty grumpy.
Right. But that's a character that's not all that well liked, or is not to be played as a guy who wants to be liked.
Yeah, Harrison Ford can do that.
Okay.
He can, right? But the question is, will he?
Yeah.
Would he?
Yeah.
Right. He's a little older now. I think he's probably got an idea of, what he wants to play in a film. And it could, to your point, could be a tough sell for him at this stage of his life. When he was younger, like 20 years ago, I think he would have been fine playing kind of like the grumpy bad guy, not well liked.
Yeah.
But as he's getting a little older, he seems to be tilting towards, characters that endear him to people more and more. He's reprising Indiana Jones again, and was brought to tears over how they brought Indiana Jones around and his story in this final what he says is the final chapter of the Indiana Jones story, which that's a big deal. So who knows? I love Harrison Ford. I mean, I can think of a couple other. Yeah, I can think of
two
a
of
couple
our
other
most
folks.
iconic movie characters of our lifetime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shadow of a doubt. Han Solo and Indiana Jones.
We went through that one previous episode. We went through his like the early 80s, like 1980 to 1984 or 5 with him, like
everything.
Insane.
Yeah. So yeah, that was big news. That was
yeah. I missed that.
That was big news as well. So we've got some big, and then there's problems with the Blade movie.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, Marsala Ali was saying that he's seen the script and he's not happy with the script. It's only like 90 pages long, and there's only 2 like what he considers to be lackluster battle scenes, like fight scenes in the movie, which is unfortunate because
that's kind of what Blade exists for.
Right. That's what he exists for. And then the last
right there in his name, even
right?
You can't have a character named Blade who doesn't, fight with
swords.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Then you've got the last big announcement was that Armor Wars with Don Cheadle is no longer going to be a series on Disney Plus. It is now going to be a feature film.
Wow.
They felt that, and the report that came out stated that they felt that it deserved larger treatment through cinema than doing it on a show.
Okay. So good news, I think.
Yeah.
That is going to continue to be an interesting and difficult decision for producers, for studios, I guess. Especially Disney, Marvel. Like, what do you put on the big screen and what do you
hold back?
Yeah, on the show.
Yeah. What do you put into a show?
And what are the factors that go into that decision? Obviously, we don't know the inner workings of that, but
yeah, no idea. I'll be curious. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with Armor Wars because there is no Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Right. Tony Stark is no longer. Iron Man is no longer. So Armor Wars is strictly now around War Machine. So I'm curious to see.
Will that be the introduction of Ironheart, or will we get Ironheart before that? I wonder.
Ironheart's in Black Panther.
Oh, right. So she'll already be
introduced.
Yeah.
She'll already be introduced. So I'm curious to see how they pull that off. Real curious to see how they pull that off. So lots of news, this week in regards to the MCU, and clearly the one that we're the most excited. All of it's exciting and interesting, except for the Blade thing, which is a little sad.
Yeah.
But to see where this all goes, what happens.
So much potential right now.
So much potential.
Is
it going to be potential?
It's fun to dream.
Yeah, is it going to be potential wasted or potential realized? Right?
It's a question we all have to ask ourselves.
Yes. All right.
Excellent. Well, everybody, let us know what you're excited about or what your reactions were to the big Hugh news that about Deadpool 3. And we'd love to hear your comments on all the socials or send us an email. And in the meantime, enjoy those stories and let us know what you're reading or what you're watching or what's keeping you busy these days. What's grabbing your attention? There's a lot going on in the world of geekdom. So we'd love to know what have you found to be enjoyable and interesting and fulfilling those story time needs for you.
Yep.
All right. Well, friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Until next time, true believers. Bye.
Bye, Kevin Costner.